I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. Disney Marvel hates you, hates me, hates anyone who actually thinks for a second rather than watching or eating the content and saying, "Please, sir, may I have some more?" I could start about the quality of Marvel itself, especially in Phase 4 after Endgame. The quality has taken a very, very, very steep downturn. But we all know that. We all know that the special effects houses are overworked, and Marvel keeps changing their mind, and plans keep changing, and people go on strike. But the one thing that hasn't happened is someone being in the room and saying no, saying this sucks, saying this isn't a good idea, saying this character would not do that, saying anything rational. We haven't really spent time with Nick since, I was gonna say Infinity War. He wasn't there. Endgame was there at the very end at Tony's funeral. He was blipped. But even before that, when was the last time you saw Nick? This isn't the same Nick Fury, and they're sure to tell you that 1,500 times. You haven't been the same since the blip. You're not doing this the same way. You're walking with a limp. You have more gray in your hair. When'd you get a Skrull wife? Oh, the Skrulls. Do you have to talk about the Skrulls? Do you have to talk about the Skrulls? All right, we have to talk about the Skrulls. The entire show is about the Skrulls. The biggest problem I have with the Skrulls, there are a couple, there are a lot, don't get me wrong. Not only is Gaia the most strongest freaking thing, possibly the entire universe. If she has Captain Marvel powers, she is equivalent to Captain Marvel, and in the MCU, Captain Marvel is supposedly the strongest thing possible. She just flies through battleships at the very last minute, and they made her so OP that it kind of makes the drama out of it. Without all that, Gaia has the same powers as Captain Marvel. We saw her shoot a Dragon Ball Z beam through his stomach, and yet he didn't heal. I guess the Mandarin blew up, so there's that too. Who knows how all this stuff works? Comic book magic. But the biggest problem that I have is Roadie being a Skrull. This undercuts Endgame's ending with all of Tony's loved ones around him. That isn't Roadie, that's a Skrull pretending to be Roadie for the last 6 years. So the emotional impact of that scene is flat. Now, this is something that Marvel's been doing ever since Endgame. They've been cutting the legs off of everything that came before it. The gemstones are now a joke in Loki. Roadie was a Skrull when he said goodbye to the biggest star of the MCU. A Celestial poking out of the earth. No one's talked about it. The only thing that it's been talked about is in She-Hulk, and I haven't even watched that yet. I don't want to. I have to. There's a Celestial hanging out of the earth, and no one's talked about it. The biggest gut punch that they could have done, and it's such a big miss, because they're not paying attention to characters. They're pretending to pay attention to characters, and they're ham-fisting messages and things that they want you to think about, but they're not really the characters. They're writing in place of themselves.
Yeah, this isn't a self-insert at all. This isn't a self-insert at all. This is Starfires Daughter. Right here, this is the writer.
They're not writing in place of Nick Fury saying this, or Gaia saying this, or Maria Hill knowing that there's Skrulls and then just casually walking up to a Nick Fury. By the way, what happened to that secret agent that what's-his-face is inhabiting? He's inhabiting his skin. Does that mean he captured him in 1990? And his family and everything has he been living with his family? No, he hasn't. He's been living with the Skrulls. What happened to that dude? Let me know in the comments below if you know what happened to that agent guy that what's-his-face Skrull face took over. The biggest gut punch that they whiffed on was Colonel Rhodes in his hospital gown from Civil War, not being able to walk, having to have 2 people help him. He could have said, "Where's Tony? I need to talk to Tony," and then have all the other characters react to that. We didn't get any of that. We got more into the planet Earth now wants to kill all the Skrulls, and they don't care who's gonna get in the way. Well, yeah, you just tried to annihilate everybody. I broke my microphone.
Sorry, I just get so angry all the time. Oh, always angry.
God. Well, yeah, you just tried to kill 8 billion people on the planet Earth. Just for 1 million of you? That's not even the population of Los Angeles. Wait, hold on, let me figure this out. Population of LA. Population of LA is 3.849 million people. And you're going to nuke 8 billion of us just for 1 million of you? You're going to genocide the entire human race, and you expect me to have any sympathy for you? I'll be honest, when the president said we're gonna kill all the Skrulls, I was like, God. Oh, he's got a point. For the end fight, why would they use any other powers other than just shock value? And how does, I mean, everyone's already talked about how does tattoos show up and how do rings show up? It just doesn't make any sense. And I know that it's a comic book show. I know it's a comic book movie. It's not supposed to make sense. Well, it kind of does need to make some type of logical sense. Like, you can have freaking Doctor Strange making a different version of himself right before he dies and it's in a different pocket dimension. Sure. That kind of makes sense. But for the United States president to be on foreign soil and to get attacked, a huge firefight breaking out over him, and all this other stuff. Where's Captain America? Where's Captain America? Why didn't they say Captain America should be here?
You've got to do better.
Why isn't there any reference to Captain America? He is the American president. Captain America should be there. Sam Wilson should be there. It's a very hot and pressing time. And Sam Wilson doesn't have any superpowers. He's a human being with a jetpack and wings.
No super serum. The only power I have is that I believe we can do better.
The longer and longer I go in this video, the higher and higher my voice is getting. Captain America should have been there. I mean, Anthony Mackie could have been there, right? Or was he off shooting Twisted Metal or something? He couldn't be there for one day. This is supposed to be a Nick Fury story. It's supposed to be a very personal story with Gaia, with the Skrulls. He's got a Skrull wife. He loves the Skrulls. He's protecting them. It's very personal to Nick. Then why does Gaia have an end fight with Gravik? They literally did the thing that She-Hulk was making fun of you for. You went and did it. And I'll give you the reason why. They just expect you to gobble it up. And I do for the most part. I love it. And don't get me wrong, Guardians, I cried. I was in theater. I saw it in Cinema 4DX. So when I could cry, I was letting out a little bit of a tear. Otherwise, I'm rocking and rolling like a freaking roller coaster. And the problem really is at the top. They are hiring the incorrect people for the job. I don't know what the qualifications are for hiring. I know the dude for Secret Invasion doesn't have much under his belt, and that's completely fine. You don't need to have a lot under your belt. The Russo brothers had Community, but they were able to make Winter Soldier, which is one of my favorite Marvel movies. And it's what this show was trying to emulate. The spy thriller, the dead serious tone, the desaturated look, hiring of the wrong people who don't care about the source material, who don't care about the characters, who are using this as a stepping stone in their careers. Now, don't get me wrong. I want this to be a stepping stone in your career. I think that's awesome. But at the same time, there should be a love and care with the product that you are making and for an understanding of your audience. Nerds have been fighting in comic book stores and arcades for decades, probably even longer. I'm sure those philosophian nerds back in Greek days were having fights about philosophies. Well, same thing here, except now we're wearing orange and brown spandex. I love orange and brown Wolverine. Please let me see it just once. These are the people that you are selling this product to, and who for the most part you made happy with a lot of your phases. Now, phase 2 did start on some shaky ground. I enjoyed Iron Man 3 for what it was. I get it was a deconstruction of Tony Stark, and for the most part, looking back, I actually don't mind Dark World. I remember seeing it opening night and being meh, but at least I knew it was heading towards something. Right now, I feel like, especially with Quantum Mania, they're trying to steer the ship in a way, but it still feels disconnected. It still doesn't feel like anything is mattering to anybody else. By the way, there's a celestial hanging out of the earth. The head and the hand are sticking out of the earth. I repeat, there is an alien being sticking out of the earth, and no one's talking about it. Secret Invasion director rejects series criticism. In an interview with Variety, Secret Invasion director Ali Salim stated that he wasn't at all bothered by the criticism hurled at the series. In fact, he's all for it. He says, and I quote, "Oh, I don't read reviews. For me, I view all the storytelling work I do as a dialogue with an audience. When the show is finished and put up on the screen, that's my half of the dialogue, and the audience then starts their half of the response to it. Well, here's your response to it." Salim continued saying that mixed reviews are actually a good thing. If you had unanimously good reviews, every movie would gross $10 trillion, right? This is from BuzzFeed. 21 movies that weren't super successful at the box office, but are now beyond beloved. It's a Wonderful Life. Shawshank Redemption. $28 million at the box office. The budget was $25 million. Are you comparing yourself to Shawshank Redemption? Salim continued, I don't know. Is it our job to fulfill their expectations or to tell the story that we're telling? So it's a tricky thing. I would love it if everybody loved it, but I also don't have that expectation myself. So I feel great about the response to it. It's not that you were to fulfill expectations. Expectations are almost likely never going to be fulfilled. Just thinking about Secret Wars alone being on the screen is just going to be cameo city. There's going to be cameos all over the place. This actor here, this actor there. It's going to be like $6 billion movie. That's my expectations. But if you craft something like Civil War that is personal to the characters, that is thoughtful in the way that each character would react with that certain thing in the universe that takes place in, that is completely fine. It doesn't need to be Civil War where there's 1,000 Marvel characters on either side of the battlefield. It can be 10 on 10. 3 on 3. That is completely fine because your universe is a little bit smaller. My expectations with the Civil War was fulfilled because I knew what the universe was and I knew what they could tell with that story because they already implanted it in Avengers Age of Ultron. You start seeing the split between Cap and Tony when they're chopping wood, laying that foundation for what could be Civil War down the road. That's smart storytelling. So my expectations were that Cap was going to act like Cap and Tony was going to act like Tony. Tony did the same thing with Iron Man 1. When he saw that his weapons were being used by the enemy, he started destroying his own weapons and changed his whole tune. So is it really out of character for Tony to do that kind of thing? There should be someone in the writer's room, in the editing bay, that is a Marvel expert. There should be someone who says, Tony wouldn't do that, Cap wouldn't do that, Nick wouldn't do that. This is what more likely would happen. That kind of thing. It just seems like they don't care and they hate you. And the only thing that you're good for them is money. Now, I'm fully aware that this is a product and I'm going to be giving my money for that product, which is my entertainment, my fun. That's what this product is supposed to be giving me. Now, cameos are fun, this is that and fun, but how about a good story? That's what this really should be saying. Books, movies, some video games, they should tell a good story. The story of this is Gravik has biological bombs, but then when they blow up, they're not really biological or nuclear. 2,000 to 6,000 people are killed, and he wants to start a war with Russia and America. So that way they'll nuke the entire planet because they can't be killed by radiation. So he's going to kill 8 billion people just to make a new haven for Skrulls and a million other people. Which, by the way, they've already been taken over 1 million people, and we see that in the basement. They've already held captive 1 million humans. There's a couple of things that Marvel should be doing. It is taking risks where they can take them, which WandaVision, I was fully ready for Wanda to be the bad guy. And they set it up perfectly. The townspeople got released from her magic and was asking, pleading for death.
If you won't let us go, just let us die, please. I will.
They were being tortured week after week, day after day, because of what Wanda was doing to them. And then at the end, you have the gall to tell the audience that Wanda is the victim, that these people should have sympathy for Wanda.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
Marvel needs to start talking to creatives again. They need to start investing into their people again, and they should be finding quality talent instead of these possible agendas that they have. I'm sure this guy who made Secret Invasion is well known to TV directors, writers, they all hang out with each other. But one thing you should do is watch the movie or the show or talk to each other about what their project is. This is a shared universe. And if the person who is writing Multiverse of Madness had never seen WandaVision, then it's not going to add up. Kevin Feige just told him to write one line about the town that she took over and almost killed a bunch of people. Marvel doesn't like you, but they can again. And you are the person that they should be advertising to. You are the person who should be at the theaters on Thursday right after work or taking a day off to see the latest Marvel or Star Wars project. But for the time being, I'm still gonna watch it, not even just for the content that I'm planning on doing, but just because I'm genuinely interested in storytelling. And that leads me to the next part of this channel, which is going to be you guys commenting on which series of comic books and stories should I be reading. I really haven't read anything Marvel since Avengers vs. X-Men. I'm really behind. Same thing with DC or any other indie stuff. I'm so far behind. So if you have any suggestions on what I should be reading, I haven't even read Secret Wars. So what books should I get? Which trades should I get? Which digital comics should I get to kind of get me into Secret Wars? Because I heard it's a great story. Happy and positive in the comments. Sure, it could be doom and gloom right now, but there could be a new horizon around the corner. And, you know, let's remember why we started liking these projects and these characters in the first place. Hope you liked it. Feel free to like and subscribe. We're going to keep it going with some other videos down the road, and we'll see you in the next one. See ya.